At Ketobiography, Robin Dobbins and I aspire to share inspiring stories of healing. We illuminate personal journeys that demonstrate the life-changing power of the ketogenic lifestyle, empowering our listeners with wisdom while building a thriving community. Robin, please tell us who our guest is today.
Sure, Natalie. I'm excited to welcome two guests to the show today. This is a mother-daughter duo whose journey with chronic illness and mental health challenges is inspiring hope for families everywhere. Mom struggled with lifelong anxiety, depression, and physical health issues, and her daughter navigated diagnoses including ADHD, OCD, and Bipolar 1. This year, they implemented a therapeutic ketogenic diet. Both have experienced dramatic improvements in mental clarity and emotional stability. Their story shows the power of food as medicine and is a testament to the difference that holistic approaches can make for families living with complex health conditions. Please welcome Kristina Cook and her daughter Genevieve to Ketobiography. Hello, welcome.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for having us. I'm super excited we're here.
Oh, I'm so excited. And just so the listener knows, we were having a very impassioned conversation right before we got started. And I was like, wait. We have to record all of this. I am just absolutely excited to talk to both of you. And thank you so much for joining us because we record early on a Saturday morning. So thanks for taking some time out of your day to share your journey with us. I know that I've been seeing you pop up a lot recently. We met through our friend Casey Ruff, and then I see you on the Metabolic Mind had done a feature on you and your family, your whole family. I mean, I realized the two of you are here, but this is a whole family thing. And then I also know that we are actually part of a project together, and we didn't know that. So I am really excited to hear about all of that. So what we do here at Ketobiography is we just turn it over. We would love to hear your story the way you want to tell it. So please just share with us all of that excitement that you shared earlier with all of our guests, because you're just very exciting. And I can't wait to hear all of it.
Oh my gosh. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's excitement because we were inside a system that was not designed to give us the things that we've gotten so quickly from stepping outside of it. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to shout that from the rooftops that, oh my goodness, there's an option out there that I've never heard of before. You're inside that system. You're looking for answers. You're doing all the things you're being told to do. And that's where we were at with both of our journeys through the course of both of our lives. Like when I was a little girl, as far back as I can remember, I had crippling anxiety. I could be sick in the morning before going to school. And no real necessary reason why. Like my dad was away training for work, and maybe I missed my dad and just didn't want to do the normal routine because things were different. I don't know, but I remember those feelings of being just so stuck underneath all of that anxiety. And as I got older, it just continued. I was gaining weight and developed these different, what we've normalized is everybody's got them, your asthma and your allergies and teenage acne here and there. And I developed endometriosis and really painful periods. And it's just like everybody around me had these things. So it's just like, well, what the heck is going on? I guess we all have them. But I ultimately wasn't okay with, well, why am I not getting any better? It's like I kept trying to do all the right things and I just kept gaining more weight and I couldn't seem to lose weight no matter what I tried to do. And I thought I was eating well. And I just kind of continued on that journey. I hit my adult years and I went through a significant trauma and developed PTSD and more anxiety, more depression, and did all the work and all the things to move through my life and still wasn't feeling on top of my game. I had my little boy, which was a shock all in itself. He was a pleasant surprise that I wasn't prepared for at the time that he decided he needed to make his grand entry into the world. But I think back that man, becoming a mom was literally the best thing that ever happened to me. That was my thing. Once I laid eyes on that little boy, I was committed. Being a mom was my job. I got this. And as the years continued to go by and this little firecracker came into our world 4 years later, my mental health started to deteriorate very, very much so during pregnancy. I started to develop chronic pain from my endometriosis. I had a large ovarian cyst during the pregnancy, very stressful, painful, emotional pregnancy. Then she was born, she was jaundice and colicky and spent the first 5 days in an incubator. And for 10 months, I could not console her no matter what we did here at home. It was just, she wasn't okay and I wasn't okay. And I was so medicated. Looking back, if it not for Facebook memories, I had no idea what those first couple of years of her life would look like. And that breaks my heart to know that, and to know how absent I really was from that whole experience because I was just trying to survive. But I always wanted to work on myself. Like, I was in therapy and my husband came with me so we could try to figure out how to help me through those things and how to handle them as a family. We did family therapy, and then Miss Genevieve decides she's going to hit school, and something inside her just triggered. She went from this strong-willed, fierce, independent little girl that's like my little mini me, like she's walking around, talking, acting, throwing me at me all day long. And she went from this cute little human with some attitude to this child we didn't recognize. She was in constant state of disarray and dysregulation and fight or flight. She was literally taking off at school and we couldn't pinpoint what the reasoning was. She was on edge all the time. And that pattern continued. It snowballed, it spiraled. She started getting more aggressive and the mood swings started. By the time she was, excuse me, by the time she was 9 years old, we had utilized everything within the system that we have here set up within the mental health programs, where their next option is for us to have her admitted to an inpatient program at the Children's Hospital for a 16-week children's intensive services program to help her and other children with these severe behavioral issues and these neurodivergences that are essentially creating daily stressors in their entire family. It's just they can't function like that. And we did that, and we came out of it on the other side without her really having the benefits we were hoping she would get from it. She was in the secure room on multiple occasions in there to keep her safe from herself and others. And her care plan upon discharge was, well, hopefully that this is something that she might grow out of. And let's get the RCMP involved so that they're aware of your situation, so that if you have to contact the police organization to help you with her, they know what they're getting into when they show up. I'm walking out of there like, absolutely not. This can't be her story. Like, absolutely not. And this was 2 years ago. And I just kept looking, and she just kept getting worse, to the point that last year, it was April of last year, she had her appointment with her psychologist. He's already diagnosed her bipolar previously. Like, he recognized after that program, like, this is more than just behavior. This is a mood disorder, like full on. He's reading the assessments. He's listening to my stories. He's watching her deteriorate in front of himself too. And she's bipolar. We need to be prepared for like what this means. And he continues trying to treat her, and she just continues getting worse. And in spring of last year, he says, we need to take a break from making changes here. Let's kind of like give her a reset. Let's keep her on meds as she is. Keep doing the things you're doing, because we're already doing the things, right? We're making sure she's trying to get her sleep. We're making sure she's eating right based on what we're being told we should be eating as a balanced, healthy diet. I've already eliminated food dyes and chemicals and stuff like that. I'm cooking all my food from scratch anyway, because I've always loved cooking. I love providing food for my family. And I thought she was eating well. So I really never put the two together. Obviously, why would you? You're eating what you're being told you should eat to be a healthy being in the world. You're doing what your doctors are telling you. So she is on a break, and I'm like, okay, I'm good and mad now, because I'm watching my daughter just continue to get worse. I've hit a point in my own journey where at this point, my own mental health has crashed and deteriorated in front of me. I've also gone through a significant weight loss myself throughout my whole therapy journey. I'd lost 80 pounds at this point in this journey, to where she's on her medical break last year. And I was still on all of my meds after that journey myself. And I was starting to gain weight, and I started having hot flashes, and I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and all the things are just going sideways all at the same time. And it was chaos. There was nothing, you can't say anything other than that to identify what was going on in our home at that time, but just pure chaos, because we were all in survival mode. Like, what do you do when you're all falling apart like that? And in August of last year, August 23rd, I heard that Bobby Kennedy was having a press conference, and I had never paid any attention to what was happening in the world around me up until that point, because life was so hectic and busy, and she was absorbing all of my energies. And something told me I needed to watch it. And my husband thought that I was crazy and said, well, whatever, honey, well, I'll watch it with you. And when he started talking about the chronic disease epidemic amongst our kids and the rising rates of literally everything, and I'm like, this is literally my life story. I don't even have to look outside my home to put the pieces together that this is why I needed to watch this. Something told me to watch it. This is why. And he said to listen to Dr. Casey Means and Callie Means on Tucker Carlson, and to read the book Good Energy. I watched the interview that night. I was emotional half a dozen times, but all the pieces started to come together pretty quick. And I didn't need to do much research to realize that we're not as far disconnected from all these issues here in Canada as I naively thought that we might be. We're very, very closely connected. And I threw out $1,500 worth of groceries by the time I finished reading Good Energy, which took 2 days, tops. And threw everything out, and I went straight to the farm, and I went to the market. I replaced all of our groceries with whole, organic, as close to source foods as possible. And 7 days later, we were all sleeping through the night. Every ache and pain in my entire body and my husband's body had alleviated. My husband's all of a sudden a morning person, which is like the first thing he's never been a morning person. All of a sudden, we're both up with the sun and loving it. But Genevieve came off of her afternoon medications as I was coming off of all of mine as well after only a week. And that was the first improvement we had seen in her in the 6-year period that we were struggling to find anything that would work. And I was like, oh my God, it is the food. So I became obsessed. I was like, I literally am feeding my children into their potential sickness or their health. And I did not know that that's what I was doing. As a mom, I'm like, I want to make my kids these healthy foods. I'm going to cook this food from scratch. If we're having spaghetti, I'm making marinara with tomatoes from the store. It's like, what was I doing so wrong? And I realized it wasn't me at all. I realized that there are very large industries that are essentially profiting from all of these illnesses that they've created inside of our food supply, and the way the medical systems were set up to react rather than prevent. And after 7 days, it was like, I don't need any more proof than that. I need to learn all I can. And I started reading books by Dr. Hyman and Dr. Gundry and you name it. I just kept picking them up. It's just like, I couldn't stop. I needed to learn, and I'm following Dr. Casey, and she gets up to speak at the nutrition roundtable, and I'm watching everybody talk, and I'm all excited. My husband's watching it with me because he's, excited for me and my new healthy obsession. And it's helping our kids and our family. So we're all kind of interested in what's happening. And when Dr. Chris Palmer starts talking, and he's talking about using, a whole foods ketogenic diet to not just treat, but in some cases completely reverse the symptoms of, bipolar and schizophrenia in these patients of his, I'm like, I'm in. I'm on my phone. I'm ordering the book before he's done talking. I knew enough about the ketogenic diet from trying it in the past before myself without the same results. I didn't do it with whole foods. I didn't have the same results from it at all. But I upped her fats and I decreased her carbs, which at that point were just her sweet potatoes. And 3 days later, she was a completely different person. She woke up on day 4 and came running into my husband's bedroom. And she said, Mom, Dad, all that noise inside my head that I've had since I can remember, it's not there anymore. And I welled up with tears because hours before, my husband and I are up with the sun having our morning coffee. I woke up and I honestly thought I might have been deaf because that racket and noise inside my own head that I could never get any alleviation with, to the point that I thought maybe I am just slightly crazy. Maybe this is just my life. This is my reality. This noise is never going to go away. It was quiet. And it was just like this big, epiphany, I need to help others with, there's something here. I need to learn more. I need to apply it all here in my own home, and to watch her just change and grow like that. It's crazy to me that we went from treatment resistant 4 weeks later, changing our food and finding Dr. Palmer. 2 weeks after the ketogenic diet started, she's coming off of every medication that she had. We took her off of all of it because she's having adverse reactions to them. Not long after she takes them, she's feeling like she's got that chronic feel like crap syndrome kicking back in. 45 minutes after she's taken her morning meds, and she's just like, I don't want to take them anymore. So I called up the pharmacist and got lower doses and started getting her off of them. And we did so fast. And it's like, we went through 6 years of what I can only call a living hell. And I can only imagine from her own little body's perspective what those 6 years were like. But for her to come through it in those 6 weeks to where it's like we have this whole new life and this whole new person sitting in front of me. I'm so excited for her. It's like we need to do so much more now that we're learning so much more. It's like we finally know better, and it's time to share that better with the world, because I really don't think that we were put here to suffer. I really think that we all deserve so much better. And the way that Dr. Palmer breaks down everything, and like I was telling you guys before that we started recording, like I'm listening to his course on Peterson Academy over and over again for fun now that I've completed it. It's like I'm so excited by understanding all those things that I was always wanting to understand when I was a kid. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I doing all the right things and it's still not working? Why are the pieces not coming together? Why can't I help my daughter? Why at 11 years old am I fearfully sitting down trying desperately to find a solution for what they're already labeling as a treatment resistant severe mental illness? I'm like, this can't be all we have to offer. And it excites me so much to know that there's so much more hope out there now. And it's like the system that I just felt was failing me so much. Now it's just like, oh, we can do so much better. And it's like, I just want to put that out there and give people that kind of hope. Like, I wish I had that. It's just like, we can do it. I know we can. We just got to come together. Like, I know we can.
I love that. And that's what we got when we were talking earlier, is like, I think everybody who finds it gets this passion and they just want to share it. And that's why all this stuff exists. But yet we could be banging our drum as loud as we want and still it feels like it's not going anywhere. Sometimes it feels like we're just spinning our wheels. And this is just absolutely amazing story. I want to clarify something because I think I missed it. Is Genevieve, are you off all of your meds now?
I've been off for how long?
Since 2 weeks after starting the ketogenic diet.
So that's what I wanted to. So after 2 weeks, you were completely off all of your medicine. And that is absolutely amazing. I don't know how much you know about me, but I also was diagnosed as bipolar and was on medication for a really, really long time. And I didn't know when I started it that it could help my symptoms or help put it into remission. So I stayed on those nasty meds after losing a whole bunch of weight. And it was still that dose for my way higher weight. So I was like sedated for a long time until I started hearing the doctors like Dr. Eid and Dr. Palmer. And then I realized that that was a thing too, that it was something that I could experience myself. So I get it. I totally understand. Like that's a hard thing. And so I'm really excited for you that you figured it out so quickly and you didn't have to suffer through all of those heavily sedated or this quote unquote side effects that are caused because you're eating a healthy diet and the medicines start working maybe too well. Let's give them credit. Maybe the medicines are working super well and it's too much. So I'm glad you noticed it because you got to live immediately. 2 weeks later, you got to live and you keep getting to do that. And so talking to you, I'm very excited about. It had to be so very scary to be in that state. And I would like to hear whatever you want to share, whatever you're comfortable sharing in your experience during that time before you found your mom helped you find this way of eating and how it's different now.
Okay. So when I was 9 in a 16-week program at a children's hospital, I got put in the secure room more than any other of the kids. And I chewed the walls. Then when I got back from CIS, I was like, I didn't feel any relief. And then when Dr. Palmer was speaking when I was 10 or 11.
Yeah, at the round table.
When he said bipolar was curable, I just came out of my room saying, what?
She's like his little super fan for sure. For sure.
I could think of worse people. He's a great person to admire.
Oh my
Right? He
gosh.
talks about his own struggles, and you're like, wait, how? No. And he's so successful, and he's doing so much stuff. How did he have these issues? And I like when he talks. I've been in the room with him. I was in a room with him at Low Carb Denver, and it's kind of a funny story, but it was a small room, and I was in this room with him, and like other people, like Nina Teicholz was in there, and Dr. Brett Scher was in there. Like, I'm out of place in this room, and he is speaking so, like, I get like preacher vibes from him when he really gets into it. Right?
Why do you think I keep listening to his course
Right?
over and over again?
It's just so good. And then Nina Teicholz was sitting in front of him, and she actually was like, I have to get up and move because you're screaming in my ear. And it's so funny, his passion. So I can totally understand why that resonates with you, and you want to follow him.
It so does. And like, every time he starts talking about our symptoms and how, like, he breaks down how, what if they all carry the same common pathophysiology? Like, the second that I heard him say that for the first time, it was just like I was hit. Like, I just hit the wall. I was like, oh my gosh, that's literally it. Like, we're categorizing our symptoms into these diagnoses. And that, I mean, I'm thinking to myself over my own journey. Well, I've got anxiety and PTSD and OCD, and like, she's got the bipolar and the ADHD and all the things that's, it's like they're sharing common symptoms across the spectrum of diagnoses. And I'm sitting in front of doctors throughout her journey, and we're trying to get her assessed for things. And she's 1 point shy of meeting the criteria for the autism spectrum disorder. I was like, well, what good is 1 point? Like, how does that classify a difference in what sort of treatment we're going to take on from here on out? And in my own experience, I'm literally sitting being assessed at 1 point in time in my mental health career, and I see that they're literally checking the boxes to see where each of my symptoms is pinpointing me under one of these criterias. And to be told that I don't meet the bipolar disorder criteria because I don't have 2 specific check marks, I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. How are you check marking boxes to determine what we do and don't have? And I became really curious about how it all worked, but so much of my energy was not able, like, I wasn't able to do anything about those curiosities because so much of my effort was going into trying to help my daughter, help my family, just trying to survive as a family unit throughout all those struggles. And it's like, once she started getting better, I had all kinds of time to read and all kinds of time to learn. And the more I learned, the more I realized I was put here, put through these things to figure these things out, to put it all together and share and help others. And here I am, heading back to school to study nutrition and finding ways to learn specific ketogenic therapies to help people. And I just want to help educate people on the same things that I wish someone educated me on from the get-go, because I know without question that if somebody sat in front of me and actually talked to me the way that I understand how our bodies make energy now and where our symptoms are stemming from, if I learned that when I was my kids' age, and like I'm teaching these things to my kids, I'm teaching them how our bodies are making energy and what's in our foods and why it's so important to eat certain ways. Like, we need to be educated. I really don't think that we need to like drive home, this is what you need to do diet wise, or this is going to save you, or this is the be all end all. Like, it's not that. It's that if we, I think, take enough of the information, put it together and share it with people, I think that we just need to kind of say, like, we have a problem here. And it's the way we're approaching our nutrition. It's the way we're approaching the brain. And we're looking at the 2 separately when the 2 really need to come together. And I think if we can just say we have a problem here and this is what we can do about it, then people will start to learn that they can make these choices. We can make these better choices when we have the better information. But right now we're still being very much led astray and very much askew. And I feel like the powers that are bringing this kind of turmoil into our health crisis are really fighting back right now. And that's to be expected. But she's living proof to me every day what can happen when you just step outside of that matrix. for a very short period of time, right? Like that's 6 years of suffering to a 6-week recovery. You can't ask for a much faster journey than that if you're willing to make the commitment. But again, it goes back to being educated properly on what to do. And that starts not just in the doctor's office, that has to start at home with our families, with our kids. Like we can't expect our kids to do better if we're not going to. I wouldn't expect my kids to eat differently if I'm going to sit in front of them and not do it too. We have to come together.
That's such an important perspective too, because I think we've really moved away from stuff happening at home. It's all this, we'll take care of it at school, you'll learn it, you'll hear about it from your doctor. Like take it out of the home, and it's not your responsibility anymore. You guys, we've got you covered. But it does happen at home. It is important to do this at home, and it is important to show that example within your house, because you know what, it doesn't matter how much time we spend at school, you still spend more time at home.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, having those examples in your house at all times. I really like that you mentioned that and say that, and that you're doing it together. So it's not just the two of you doing this. You have a son and a husband who are doing it also. And so is everyone feeling better? Has everyone had a change?
Everyone. Like my husband had chronic GI issues for years. They've cleared up. I've utilized experimenting with carnivore diets and reducing lectins in our house and getting rid of the inflammatory foods. Like we try getting rid of dairy, and you try getting rid of eggs and things like that. Like we literally just turned our home into our own little experiment because we were seeing the effects of the ketogenic diet and her symptom reduction. It was like, I need to know how I can help her more. So I'm reading, case studies and more books than I can even shake a stick at. And I'm like sitting down in the morning with my coffee and I'm reading papers, for instance, like the one Dr. Campbell had published where 100% of the patients were having symptom reduction and 43% were in complete remission. And she's sitting here and I'm giving her like some of the details and stuff about how like higher ketones are associated with better mood reduction. She's like, Mom, we already knew that. Like, she's like, I figured that. I was like, yeah, I know. But like, it's so exciting to me because like I'm learning these things in my own home by experimenting with the things that I'm learning from these incredible doctors within this community who are doing this amazing work. And then it just to see it all come together and then, like scroll down the Metabolic Mind page and see my own family's faces among these faces of these people I'm learning from to help her. It's like, how is this even real? Like it's
Kristina, it's crazy that it's just food.
I know.
Right? Like, which is what we need to live on, but what we're eating, it's killing us slowly. It's creating all of these things.
Yes.
So what's important for people, I would say that if somebody sat down, and I'm speaking from my own experience, I would say if maybe 5 years ago, let's just say somebody sat down and talked to you about this, you would have been like, whatever, because you weren't ready to hear it. It wasn't that time for you. You were on your own crisis, right? And that's for me too. When I started this journey, if you will, I started because I wanted to lose some weight. I was like, I've tried everything else. And then I also, the anxiety, my anger, I have super deep rooted, like, I will cut you. Anger, it's gone. It's all gone. I call it a euphoria of energy that we get from eating proper nutrition. And what's hard for people, I think, and you probably can agree with this, is that you have to unlearn so many things that have been rooted in our brains, and then you have to rethink. And I think that that's what's really hard for people, especially when we're older, because we're told, oh, well, fiber is essential. Well, guess what? I don't know that it is. And, things like that. And so what kind of things did you, and maybe even Genevieve, what's the biggest thing that you've had to unlearn that you were like mind blown away?
Grains were good for us. They told us that.
The grains were good for us. Yeah. Yeah. She felt so, okay. It's not an exaggeration for me to say that when I fell down the nutrition rabbit hole, that I took my whole family with me, because I did. Because as I was learning these things, I was horrified. And I felt like I was failing them as a mom, in a sense. Like, we're so hard on ourselves as parents. Like, you want to do the best you can for your kids. And here I am thinking I'm cooking them homemade food, and I'm making homemade bread, and I'm providing them with homemade food. Like, I was not feeding my kids a diet full of ultra processed foods. I get asked all the time what I was feeding her before, what we were eating before. We were not eating this, 65% or more of our diets from ultra processed foods. We were one of the families that were eating less of those things. Like, she likes her Cheerios. She struggled with her Cheerio addiction, like, coming off of this. Like, she was sneaking some Cheerios early on, and it was affecting her, and getting rid of them changed everything. But she figured that out. But it's like,
We're delicious.
well, they were delicious. They're delicious on purpose. And she understands why now, right? Like, I talked about those things. Like, I read that book that, have you ever read Salt, Sugar, Fat? Yes. So in reading Salt, Sugar, Fat and getting that inside perspective from the food industry, literally referring to its consumers as users, and the implication that their products that they're creating, they're not food anymore. They've eliminated everything good from the food and then added chemicals into it to make it taste like food. And we are eating food that tastes like food, but we're not getting the nutrients from it. We're overeating it, and it's full of inflammatory ingredients. And I taught my kids these things as I was learning it. Like, it's not like I just stood in front of them and said, you can't eat that, it's no good for you. I broke it down for them. Like, I took them with me on this journey, and like, she's like my little food safety, like, echo in the background. I take her to the grocery store, and she's like reading labels and shoving it back on the shelf and being like, oh my God, like, this is poison, and shoves it back. And I'm like, she's 11 years old. And our children, I don't really think that they are the biggest hurdle in making these changes. And a lot of people think that, adapting a new diet like this is really difficult with kids. No, I have to say that in my experience, it was more difficult for adults to kick these habits. We are decades into these food addictions that we don't even realize have actually turned into food addictions. Like, that is essentially what we're doing. The standard American diet, the standard Western diet as we know it, it's based on these highly processed food-like ingredients, and it's not really food, and we're not getting what we need from it. And we weren't doing that. And I wanted them to understand why we were no longer doing the things that we were doing, because we thought we were doing it right. So why are we doing it so different? I took them with me on the journey, and they just drive it home every day what your kids are capable of when you just give them the right tools. And we adapted it here in our own home. We try to lead by example. We fill them in on everything I'm learning. Like, the conversations we have throughout the day are ridiculous. But to have these conversations with my kids about the ingredients in our food and how our bodies create energy and what aspartame does in the body generations after the fact. Like, I tell them about the studies I'm reading, and I tell them about all these things I'm learning so that they know. Because I really feel like we cannot expect anyone to do any different if we don't start talking about the reasons how we ended up here. And we really have to have those difficult conversations, whether we're ready to hear them or not. I think the people that are ready to hear it are going to hear it. And those who aren't ready to hear it, I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's unfortunate they haven't hit the level in their suffering yet where they're willing to ask those hard questions. And that's what drives me. It's because I would hate for someone else out there in the world to have to suffer like we did to look elsewhere for answers. I really feel like I envision this world where I go to the doctor because I'm feeling a certain way, and the first thing the doctor says to me is, well, how's your nutrition? How are you sleeping? Are you exercising at all? What's your stress like? Like, are you exposing yourself to too many toxins? Like, these aren't complicated things. These are literally things that make us human. We need nutrition, we need people, we need sunlight, we need movement. It's not like it's this largely complicated plan. It is quite simple if you can, like, just kind of start to figure it out. I think you just kind of put one foot in front of the other and not let yourself be overwhelmed by the fear of, oh my goodness, like, where do I start? How do I get there? At the end of the day, it's actually quite simple. It's simple whole foods. It's moving our bodies. It's sleeping. It's being around people that make you feel good, things that make you feel good. It's learning how to be human all over again. We've come so disconnected from the world around us. This whole metabolic health journey and mental health journey has been about reconnecting more than anything else to all the things around us, everything.
Yeah. And isn't it funny when you take we all have dogs. We've talked about this a little off the air. What's the first thing the vet asks you when you take your dog to the vet?
Right?
What are you
eating?
But we don't, as humans, get that question, right? It's crazy.
But even the thing is on nutrition too, is that when you are in the doctor's office and you're having these conversations, up to this point in my own history before looking for answers outside the system, those conversations about nutrition are very nuanced. It's let's try decreasing the amount of salt you're taking. It's conversations about cholesterol and well, you better decrease your egg intake. These are not actually teaching us the foundations of real nutrition. We're not actually learning nutrition to drive health. That's very unfortunate because all it took was me and my family being educated on how to actually do it for us to so quickly turn it around. And all I did was listen to podcasts and read a book and just start. And it was the power of information. So let's scream it from the rooftops, right?
It's so true. I do have a question. How many meds approximately Genevieve, were you on? Do you know?
When she started the ketogenic diet, she was still on 3 of her medications. She was still on her sertraline, her Abilify, and her goodness, there was one other one that she was on. Might have been Intuitive, but
We took one at the end of the night, like magnesium.
that's right too. And she was still taking melatonin. Yeah. So at the time she was on about 4 different medications and supplements.
Wow.
And it was the sertraline actually when we had started the good energy way of eating. It was this afternoon dose of sertraline that she was taking that was creating the mania that was happening here in the evening. She was getting home from school and she'd be like tired and wore out the same way most kids are when they come home from school after a long day. And she would go from getting off the bus to like having a fairly good day like early on in the week, but like as the weeks were crumbling, as that first week was going on, she was getting worse and worse and worse in the afternoon. I was like, what the heck is happening here? Like, this is crazy. But it was only in the afternoons. And I just kind of like took a step back and I was like, okay, let's evaluate this. Is this the stress of her day at school that could be causing this? Maybe she's eating something at school that she shouldn't be eating. Did she really sleep okay last night? Like I'm doing all of like the metabolic checklist. Like where could we be going wrong here? What could I work with her? And then I was like, the medications. Maybe it's that afternoon medication. So I said, I'm not waiting for an okay from anyone on whether or not I can do this. Like this is an afternoon dose. I'm just going to take it off and see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen is I try it back on the schedule tomorrow. We stopped it. She was fine. She didn't crash 45 minutes after she was taking it anymore. It was like, oh, this is more manageable now. We can do this. Like we got this. It's like once we started detoxing our bodies from everything that was being put into it, very, very, very quickly, we all started figuring out what it was that was creating those dysregulations in our bodies. We started putting the two together.
I want to just put a quick disclaimer out there that in general, we
Yes.
don't want to just remove medication. So this is Kristina and Genevieve's story. If you are in this situation, please, please, please work with your doctor because
Yes.
there is something called the bounce back effect. And you
There
you
is.
you
And
don't want to mess with that. So
Yes. And we did work
thankfully
with,
that didn't happen.
no, it didn't. Right. And I mean, I'm very fortunate that my pharmacist is a phone call away. Our psychiatrist isn't always as easily accessible, but once we had started the ketogenic diet, before I was done reading Dr. Palmer's book, I was already talking to my psychiatrist, or not the psychiatrist, sorry, the pharmacist, asking about getting these lower doses filled so that I could, because I was prepared. I knew I couldn't get in to see my psychiatrist for another few weeks because he was out of town. And I knew I needed to do something. So I didn't just go into this blindly. I was prepared for the adverse effects. And I definitely do not recommend that anybody would take that on their own. In our situation here at home, it's like we've seen the worst of the worst that she was giving us, and we were turning to the system to help us. And they're calling us for help in what we were doing with her at home when these things were happening. I'm like, I can handle this. Like, I got this. I'll be okay. And we prepared, and we were very fortunate in our situation that we didn't have to have that like bounce back. We were just, it was just like the light bulbs came on, and she was, like I said, a whole new person. She's a friggin' rock star.
Kristina, that sort of leads me into, you mentioned this, maybe you did, about what has your psychiatrist, has the your mental, your general practitioner, if you will, your regular medical doctors, have they been like, oh my gosh, tell us what you're doing? Or have you had pushback on,
So,
I don't know if this is healthy?
yeah. So our psychiatrist, we had a follow-up appointment with him in October. So we have already been doing the ketogenic diet for a month at this point, and I had already gotten her off of her medications. It was for 6 weeks time we had our follow-up with him. And he asked me how things were going. I said, well, I hope you're sitting down. And I told him that I found these incredible doctors that are talking about literally the reasons why we were all sick. And they're talking about changing the ways that we are approaching the body and brain. And I fell hard into it, and I started learning, and I found Dr. Palmer utilizing these strategies, and I told him about the book, and he's like, what did you say you read? And I hope he went and picked up these books, and I hope that he further educated himself on these things, because like he says to me, he's like, this doesn't happen. He's like, this is incredible. And I hope so much that he embraced that and ran with it. I won't ever know, because I haven't needed to talk to the man since that day. Like, it's like,
Perhaps you just stop in one day and drop it off.
you know what, we were going to gift wrap one and just like drop it off, be like Merry Christmas at Christmas time, but we were so excited and busy and doing all kinds of things that we were never able to do at Christmas time, that it kind of slipped our minds. But that's something that we've been doing, is just like dropping Dr. Palmer's books in like the little libraries, and talking to people about it.
That's amazing. I love that you're doing that. Those are just like little things that people can do that, because you get this excitement, you get this energy, and you want to scream it from the mountaintops. And then it's like you hit a wall, like, where do I go next? So you're doing a great thing inside of your family unit. You're learning, you're educating yourself, and you're sharing that. And I wish I had done that myself. Like, I was of the mind frame, like, choose your battles with your kids. You're not going to, like, I removed some things, but I didn't remove everything. I got a 20-year-old that loves fried food, and I can't get him to stop. So I'm glad that you went on this journey together, and that your family is with you. That's important. Your children's, you mentioned two things earlier, is that it was harder to educate the adults, and that there was a problem with that. So because you're taking the time to teach your children, they're the future. So they're going to be able to make these changes, where we're hitting this wall with our doctors, and we're hitting this wall with the other adults in the room. You're teaching your children so that as they grow up, they can speak up, and they can be the changer. They can go take the courses. Maybe that it becomes their passion as well. So this change is happening. We're just at the bottom of it. So I want to ask you a couple things, and I know that it was kind of hard for Genevieve to sit with us, but I have a question for her. So if she does make it back, I want to ask her a question, it's okay.
She's not far. She just needed a little break.
I get it.
Oh,
it's
here she
hard
comes.
to
Here she
sit.
comes.
Okay, before I start on the other stuff, because I have questions specifically for you, Kristina, Genevieve, I get it. It's hard to sit. So let me ask you this question, and then just go have a Saturday morning. It's fine. So I just want to know, how is life different? What are your favorite things? What is stuff that you didn't know about before that now you do know? And do you share this with your friends? I guess it's like 1,000 questions. Just, I want to know what this change has meant to you.
Well, I gained more friends, closer
That's
friends.
awesome. That's really awesome.
And my school year was the best school year I ever had. My report card, it was really nice.
This is the first year that she was actually able to be in the classroom like the entire year and participate as a student just like the rest of the kids. She didn't need those little extra supports in place to help her manage her. It was it was an incredible year to just watch her grow. It was,
That's
Remember
yeah.
the teacher made great?
yeah. There was a lot of tears shed this year, a lot of happy tears. They're shed regularly.
I get it. Trust me, I get it.
You look like you're crying right now.
I probably am.
We probably all are. I have tissues hiding all around me right now. So are you doing like other things? You finally got to have a full year of school. Do you do other activities outside of school?
Yeah, I would say. Yesterday I went to a friend's birthday party at the Y. No parents.
Nice.
You don't know how many times she said to me, "You don't need to stay, Mom. You don't need to come in, Mom." Because that's something that was always the scenario. Not only did she want us to be there, but we needed to be there because she could get dysregulated so quickly that we might not be able to even attend, let alone stay. So she was so excited to tell me to get out.
That is exciting. And then I know I saw this on your mom's social media. You got to go on some vacation time, and how was that?
I went camping for the first time.
Did you go camping?
First time. Yeah. Oh, we went on the Cabot Trail.
We did. An 8.5-hour drive home we took to go through the beautiful highlands up in Cape Breton. And that is something that over the last 6
I was
years.
squished with the doggies though.
Yeah, she was squished with
That's
the doggies.
okay. I mean, come on. They're doggies.
Yeah.
There can't be anything bad
My
about
mom
that.
and my brother got to sit up front, but I couldn't.
She's smaller.
I
get it. It's hard to be the littlest sometimes.
But see, and doing things like that, taking these kinds of vacations and like that drive specifically, like I don't know how many times my husband and I said to each other, like, this is craziness because like we can't drive to town in years before, like, 10-15 minute drive without her just being a mess by the time we get there. Just like her moods were so, that's your brother.
Is that your brother? Oh, how handsome.
Her moods and her behaviors really controlled our whole family unit for the last years, and now they don't. So she's taking full advantage. Are you done here, kiddo? Or
she's good. That's good. I'm glad she got a chance to have a say before wandering off, because I get it's hard to sit around. But maybe she doesn't realize it. Maybe she does. I don't know. But exactly like you said, the fact that you were kind of strapped down to your house, you couldn't leave, you couldn't do these things, and now you can. Maybe the expanse of how important that is doesn't quite reach her, but the fact is it is happening, and she gets to enjoy these things now, and she's not in a 16-week program. And sometimes being just quote unquote normal is all we can ask for, and is very exciting to be normal when it hasn't been for so long.
Yeah, and she has these moments where she'll decide she wants to start talking to people. They'll start asking her questions, and she'll start telling her story, and then she'll be like, "Okay, Mom, now it's your turn. You tell them about the food," and off she goes. Because she'll be like, "I just changed the way I eat. Like, how are you feeling better? What did you do?" "I changed my food." Like, "What do you mean you changed your food?" She's like, "Well, it's all poison." And then off she'll go, and she'll tell them about it, Mom. And I'm like, "Oh, Lord, child."
That leads me into a question for you, Kristina. Do other parents come to you, or have you noticed that Genevieve, tells her story to maybe her new friends or her friends that she's had? Do people come to you and say, "Oh my God, what are you doing? I want to do it too"? Or are they feel like, she was sick?
Yes. So it's actually a combination of both coming together. We very much have the response of, "That's so wonderful that worked for you. I'm so happy for you." And I hear that regularly. And I understand that. Like we really don't understand how close relief is. It is really just underneath our fingertips, and we just don't know it. So of course it seems like, well, she was in such a rough spot. Like, you guys were doing everything. Like, that's amazing. Like, her turnaround is wonderful. I'm so glad you guys found something that worked. But in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, over 90% of the population had at least one marker of metabolic dysfunction. This is not just something we did for us. This is something we can all do for ourselves. And I really think that if we can start this move of education around proper nutrition, just talking about how to properly make energy, good energy, inside our cells, and therefore, you know, making better brain energy, we can very quickly turn these things around. Like, I think to myself when I'm going through her history, and I'm like, she was 9 years old in this intensive services program. There's 8 other children, I believe, in this program with her that were all experiencing the same kinds of things at 8, 9 years old. And then I'm reading these studies, and I'm hearing, like, you know, children at 9 years old with these high levels of insulin are 500 times more likely to have a psychotic episode by the time they hit their adult life. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we're not even talking about this. Our kids, of course, love sugar. We're giving them these treats, and like, we think to ourselves that they wouldn't put ingredients necessarily in our food if they weren't really good for us. But you start realizing that it's not necessarily one specific ingredient. It's all the things they put together that we're putting in our bodies day in and day out. We were never meant to actually process any of that. And if we just understand that that is what our food supply has turned into, especially the ultra processed foods, if we can just like eliminate those and start eating more clean, whole foods, the other side is not far away. And I mean, it seems like a radical concept, you know, cook your own food and buy your own clean groceries. Like, it shouldn't be a radical concept to talk about those things. It shouldn't be crazy to be like, I'm not going to feed my kids poison. I'm not going to feed my kids sugar. Like, I'm leaving yesterday to run a couple of errands, and my son's staying home, and I'm hollering back in the door at him, don't do sugar and don't eat naked carbs. And he's laughing hysterical. I was like, oh my God, Mom, just go. But he's like, it's funny because these are the conversations that we're having in our house now, because that they came down this journey with me, and I want to teach them these things. Like, I'm not just going to, like I said, tell them what to do. I want to educate them on it. We need to teach each other these things. And that's what we're trying to do on these social media platforms that we have, and talking to amazing people like you guys that are in this community with us, wanting to like shout it from the rooftops.
Well, I would love to keep this conversation going forever and ever, but we do have an out, so I have to move it along. So I would like to ask you about some of the advocacy work that you're doing. I happen to notice that we're both involved with the Metabolic Collective. As of recording, we haven't quite launched yet, but it's all happening in the background. The website's looking beautiful, and that's how I noticed we're both involved. So I saw there that you are volunteering as a volunteer coordinator. So I'd like to ask you about that. But also, while we're talking, I want to ask you about other things. Like you said that you are putting books in the little library. Like, that's a little thing that you can do for your community. And then you also have the Better Humans project that you have created with Genevieve. So I'd like to hear about all of the advocacy things that you are currently starting or part of or doing.
Yeah. So on our own, we really just started to try sharing our story on social media, just to try to gain some traction, like get this out there. I shared my mental health journey and the ins and outs of Genevieve's on my own social media pages as I was in the throes of it all, because I felt so isolated in all of these things, especially when I was dealing with her things. Like, there's a community of people out there who have kids that are struggling, and we're looking for answers. And we know what the mental health epidemic is like right now. And I knew that there was community in that, and in sharing some of the things that I was doing might help someone else feel less alone in theirs. So I shared, and I was like, well, I'm not going to not share this. Like, I knew I was getting a lot of pushback and a lot of like, well, that's great for you, but I don't know. Like, and you start talking about the food, and people get very, it can be a very threatening topic to people. And you can really bring up some feelings that are, they can make a conversation turn very quickly into something that it's no longer informative. It's no longer enlightening. It can be viewed very differently than a helpful conversation. And we wanted to just start sharing that. It's like, this is our truth. This is what helped us. I hope that people can find some, inspiration, and to be like, well, maybe I can take control of my health in these different ways. Maybe I can start trying these different kinds of elimination diets, and maybe I'll start eating less sugar. Maybe if I want to eat sugar, maybe there's a way I can eat it that's not going to like raise my sugar so high that it crashes right through the floor not long after. It's like, I just want to encourage people to take their own health agency back, because I feel like this information doesn't need to be gate kept. This is foundational human life we're talking about. Like, this is how our cells are, 3D printed into the next version of us. Like, this is important. We should all know how to do it. And I don't think we need to wait for the system at the top to start talking about it for us to start. So that's why we did. And I was really fortunate enough, as I started sharing, to have people within the metabolic psychiatry community start reaching out to me to tell my stories with them, like with Metabolic Mind and getting involved with Metabolic Collective. It's kind of like a pinch me moment to be able to be involved and give back and use my story and what I'm learning and all the things that I want to do, like in the future now, like where it's kind of like, I know what I want to be when I'm a grown up now, right? It's like I've figured different things out. It's like I want to be able to help and apply this like within this movement. Like I want so badly to give back in a way that this community has given me my whole family back and our lives back, and to be able to have an opportunity to do that, it's pretty special. It's like a pinch me moment. It's kind of like, where am I at right now?
Yeah, I totally get it. We all are just like trying to get this message out there, and it's unfortunate how hard it is. Like feel like we're pulling teeth. Like it's so we've evolved our brains so much that we've just overcomplicated everything.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like the food, salt, sugar, fat. When I think about in that is like this generational thing, is that the parents now have their parents ate this way, now they eat this way, and we think it's heredity, but it's not. It's dysfunction.
Yes.
It's dysfunction that our bodies aren't built properly, and we're just passing that down. And it's so easily fixable if you just find these whole foods and just eat. Just take all that stuff that we thought we knew out of the equation and go back a couple steps, and all of the answers are right there. They were in front of us the entire time. And you are hitting the nail on the head with everything that you're sharing with us today.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I've learned in teaching my kids is that the kids really catch on to this. The kids are really curious about this. Even when, like, I've got a friend of Genevieve's with us, or I'm like driving friends that my son plays basketball with to practice and stuff. I'm having these conversations with them in the car while we're going places, or we're at the store, and her friend's like, well, why don't you tell me what's in this, Genevieve's mom? And I'll tell her, like, okay, well, here you go. And we start looking at the food dyes and the monodiglycerides, and I'm telling her about it. And she's standing there and she's like, well, maybe this is why I have ADHD. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Like, kids associate these things so much quicker than we think that they would. I think, honestly, we're afraid to find out some of these answers because we don't want to think we've been doing it wrong. And it's not that we've been doing it wrong, it's that we've never been taught how to do it right. And I had an opportunity to go and speak at my son's high school and speak to his grade 12 psychology class about our journey. And it was so exciting to be able to go in there and talk to them about what I've learned and what I've applied and what some of these studies I've been reading are telling us, and how I like sharing that excitement with them that we are in the middle of like what my daughter's calling the edge of a revolution. And I really think that it is. And to be sitting at home that evening after kids were coming up to me after I spoke to them and they were asking questions, but they come up to me after and they're asking me even more questions. They're intrigued and they're interested. But we're sitting down at supper that evening and my son's getting text messages from classmates again, wanting to know more. It's like our children are curious. They're also looking around thinking to themselves, what the hell is going on? And it's time that we start asking those questions and we're answering them truthfully and honestly, because it's not that far out of reach for us all to start feeling a whole lot better. And we came to the conclusion of calling things like the Better Humans Project, because Genevieve drives home every day and she says it all the time that we'd all be better humans if we ate a little more steak and eggs. And she's not wrong.
I totally agree. That's been the key around here too, is a little more steak and eggs. So this has been a wonderful conversation. We've hit our hour. So I think we could probably keep talking. I am so excited that we've gotten to meet each other, and I hope that we continue. I'm looking forward to working with you with the collective and seeing what that does as it grows. My piece is social media, so we're trying, just like you are personally, the collective is trying to get these stories out there for more people to see. It's this grassroots effort. And honestly, I don't think any of us feel like it should be a grassroots effort, but it is, and it has to be. And so it's been a real pleasure to speak to you and feel your passion and get to meet Genevieve. So I'm glad. So I'm sure she's off doing her thing now, but thanks for having her come and join us at least for a little while. Natalie, do you have another question?
Yeah, Kristina, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? You and Genevieve.
So Genevieve, as much as we've always been like, okay, I don't know that you need a YouTube channel, like you're trying to like decrease your screen time and stuff. She's very much trying to figure out how she wants to share her message with the world and help educate kids in the things that she's learned about the foods that she's eating. And she's trying to figure out ways to like start creating some content in a way that she's comfortable doing it. She knows that that's something she wants to do so that she's reachable. And she's going to figure that out in her own time. I'm not giving her any pressure. I want her to spread her message in the way that she wants to. And if she would just rather me spread it, then that's what we'll do. And I'm reachable at the Better Humans Project on both Facebook and on Instagram. I'm not as active on X as I would like to be. I'm trying to get better, but it's all about balance. And so far I haven't quite found it, but I'm on X as well as my own name, Kristina Cook. And I'm excited to see where we're going to go. We are kind of like just gaining our traction here. And we are trying to figure out our avenues and how we want to better extend and expand the good word here. And I'm excited to see where we're all going to go together.
Yes, me too. So we do this thing here on Ketobiography where we ask a final question of all of our guests. And that is, what key insight can you share to help others write their keto biography?
I really think that the biggest thing for us in this whole journey was learning to listen to our bodies. If you can actually commit to this and do this for yourself, your body will reward you in ways you never actually knew were possible. I started feeding myself differently, and I gave my entire family their entire health back. And I think we all deserve that. I think we all deserve the ability to do that. I think that we need to make the commitment to ourselves. I think we need to choose our hard. And in choosing our hard, things can get a whole lot easier, a whole lot faster if we're just willing to do it for ourselves and for our kids and for our families. They're all we have left to leave behind. It's time we do better for them. That was my whole inspiration to get started in this. And I think that if nothing else, if we can't do it for ourselves, we could do it for our kids.
You are taking momming to great levels.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations to you. Because I know that was a process in and of itself. You felt like being a mom. You had the desire to be a mom, but your other things that were going on in your own personal health could get in the way of that. So you've gotten the second chance, and I love everything that you're taking with that opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing. I know I've been tearing up this whole time.
I know.
It hits very close to home. So it's exciting to hear the story and to know what you're doing, and you're doing all the right things. And you know what? Even if it doesn't spread outside of your four walls, you have done your job, which is to help your children. But it is going to spread. It doesn't even matter because it is going to spread, but you're doing your job, and it's amazing. And it's just wonderful to hear the story. And I can't believe you're like only 11 months into this. So
I know. I've started my own library. I could like literally open my own health library between the studies I've had printed off and just sit here and read and all the books. It's like when nothing was working, I knew I had to do something, and I got mad, and nobody does more research than a pissed off mom. And I just hit the road running. It was just like my family became my own little metabolic health experiment, and I can't wait to learn more and to help and do more.
They poked Mama Bear.
That's right.
You just don't poke Mama Bear. You can't do it. So
that's right.
Well, it's been lovely speaking with you, and hopefully we can have this conversation extended and at another time, because I know you have a lot more to share, and I know that your family has a lot more to share and to give to this community. And we really
I have a feeling we'll be talking to each other on a regular.
I like that idea. So on behalf of Natalie, Kristina, and Genevieve Cook, and myself, Thank you so much for hearing our Ketobiography.
Thanks, ladies.